All right, let's go to containers. And by the way, I'm not showing you Azure Container Registry. You do publish your containers to Azure DevOps Registry. And by the way, we're running over our time just a little bit. I'm going to finish up quick. For those of you who would like to stay, I want to finish showing you through this, the high points, because I think this is important. Inside our Visual Studio solution, inside our Git repository, I have a Docker file. This Docker file, this is all the Docker file that you need to take a Blazor web application. By the way, Control F5, just so you know that this application is the same. This is a Blazor WebAssembly application, and this is all you need to, there it is. It's the same application, okay? So UI.server, that's what we're running. And in the Docker file, you notice that our entry point is .NET.exe with an argument of the path to the entry assembly of our application. Super simple. And this is a diagnostics. This isn't even necessary. This is just doing an ls on the app directory. So we are using Microsoft's image of ASP.NET 7. Okay, we're exposing port 80. We're declaring the /app directory to be our working directory, and then we're copying a arbitrary local directory into it as we build a container. And if you look inside Azure Pipelines.yaml for the term built, you can see that we are grabbing the NuGet package in our step for downloading the NuGet package. We're grabbing the NuGet package and we're extracting it, same as a zip file, we're extracting it to a /built folder. And next, we call Docker, we tell it this is the Docker file to use, and we give it a service connection that we've set up in Azure Pipelines with the build number for the tag, and literally that's it. We have a .NET application, we unzip the zip file, we have a directory of stuff, it's the same thing that we got from .NET Publish, and we copy that stuff into the container, into the app directory, and literally, if you want to copy this Docker file and just drop it in there, that's all you do. You don't have to have Docker Desktop. You don't have to have all this other Docker tooling. That's it, okay? So please grab this Git repository and go to town, all right? Okay, so notice that the image tag, there's two ways to do image tagging. One is to just have the build number, which I prefer, or if you have older applications that have configuration built into configuration files, then you're going to have to create per environment containers, because containers are immutable. And if the configuration is inside the files, then you have to have environment specific configuration in the container. All right, I'll show you a different container app right here, where if you can refactor your application to use environment variables rather than app settings.json, then that's the way to go. Because then, I'll show you, the image tag is literally just the version, and the configuration comes from environment variables. When you do a deployment command line, you're actually creating a new revision, okay? And you can have multiple of these going. You can split traffic between two versions, but you're going to create the revision. So you click in here. Actually, let me click create. And if you haven't ever seen scale, I'm not going to mess with this. You can specify how many you want. There's an upper bound of 30 of these replicas. Again, you're running inside the same pod, so pods can't be infinite. All right, go to containers, new revision. And this is how you do it. You click, if all you want to do, and I'm doing it with the mouse, but of course AZ command lines do everything here. You go into one of them, and we can go down and we can give it more horsepower right there. Or we can add an environment variable. You do this command line, whatnot, and your application just reads environment variables as its configuration with the .NET middleware. And when you create a new revision of this, it's going to do its pretty much like deployment slots, but you can't pause it. With deployment slots, you could deploy it, then you have a URL for the slot, then you could check it out, and then you could swap the slots. This does the same process, but you can't pause it between swapping the slots in the same way. You do it, and behind the scenes, it gets it spun up, and then it automatically switches the DNS, okay? All right, so that's how that works. It's pretty darn simple. It is Linux, and I have a little helper / version. I think everybody should have a web service that just gives them back what version of the application you're running. So 1143, and let's click on here. Let's look at the container that we have running. The tag is 114. Oh, I need to refresh. Or is it? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. On the wrong one. Let me click on the right URL. All right, so loading the new Blazor template. All right, it had scaled down to idle for me. All right, 4.6 version 4.6. There we go. That's another DevOps trick. You always want to embed your versions. All right.